grave way of hers, as if she had been an elder sister. And you think she might have followed her? I hope that it may have been so, but in that case the women must have seen her." "The women were scared out of their senses," Chebron said, "and I have no doubt were screaming and wringing their hands and attending to nothing else. If I could but be sure that Ruth is with Mysa I should feel less anxious, for I am certain she would be a comfort and support to her." "She would indeed," Jethro agreed; "and moreover I should have greater hopes of finding where they are concealed; for if it be possible to get away and to spread the alarm, I am sure that Ruth would seize the first opportunity promptly." It was but a short time after they lay down that Chigron entered and said that morning was beginning to break. They at once rose and followed him. He led them along the foot of the hill for some distance, and then turning began to ascend at a spot where it sloped gradually. They passed many tombs, partly erected with masonry and partly cut out from the rock behind, and it was not until after walking fully half an hour that he stopped before the entrance of one of them. "This is the one that I thought of as being suitable for the purpose," he said. "It is one of the most lonely, and there is little likelihood of any chance passer coming near it. In the second place I know that the stone door which rolls across the entrance has not been cemented in its place. I know indeed to whom the tomb belongs. The last mummy was placed here but a short time back, and the son of the man then buried told me that he should not have it cemented because his wife was grievously sick, and he feared would shortly follow his father. Therefore there will be no difficulty in effecting an entry. In the second place, there is hard by a small tomb that was cut in the rock and then left, the owners changing their minds and having a larger tomb made lower down the hill. As nothing beyond the chamber and the narrow entrance were made, we can there hide the mummies from this chamber and heap stones and earth over the entrance, so that none would suspect its existence." "Nothing could be better," Jethro said. "Let us set to work and prepare it at once." The stone across the entrance to the tomb, which was but 3 feet high and of the same width, was pushed back without difficulty, and they entered. 4 wooden sarcophagi stood there. Jethro aided Chigron in opening 3 of these. The mummies in their cases were taken out, the outer cases opened and replaced in the coffins after the mummies with the inner cases had been removed from them. These were then carried to the unfinished tomb 50 yards away and there deposited. Stones were then piled together so as to conceal the entrance, and the men returned to the tomb. "Here you will be perfectly safe," Chigron said. "You can keep the stone rolled back unless you see anyone approaching, and you would be sure to make out any considerable number of searchers mounting the hillside long before they could reach you. Should you see them, you will of course close the door, enter each of you one of the sarcophagi, lie down in the inner case, close the lid of the sarcophagus, and place the lid of the inner case over you. I think it unlikely in the extreme that any search will be made for you, or at any rate a search only of untenanted tombs. The fact of the stone here being left uncemented is a mere accident probably known only to myself and its owner. It is only as an extreme resource that you could need to take to these hiding places. As far as passers-by are concerned, you might remain outside altogether, but in that case you would run some risk of being noticed. You may be sure that the hills will be closely scanned, and if figures were seen moving about here, a party might set out to see whether these were the fugitives so eagerly sought for. Therefore I say, during the daytime, keep yourselves concealed here. As soon as it is dark you can of course issue out, and pass the night wherever you may think fit." "We shall certainly follow your advice," Jethro said. "Undoubtedly the plan you propose is by far the safest. I cannot think that there is much chance of an earnest search being made among the tombs, though likely enough they may visit those which are open and empty; but as you say, they would never dream of examining the tombs in use, as they would naturally suppose that all were securely fastened. In case of the very worst, there are the coffins for us to betake ourselves to, and these assuredly no one would think of examining." "If you will come down," Chigron said, "as soon as it is dark, I will give you provisions for some days, together with the peasants' dresses I have prepared for you and the money Ameres committed to my charge. It is not likely that anything will occur to decide you to make a move suddenly, but it is best that you should have everything in readiness for so doing should the occasion possibly arise. I will come up myself tomorrow night if all is well, an hour after sunset. I name the time exactly in order that if you sleep at any distance away you can be here at that hour to meet me. And now I leave you to the protection of the gods. This evening I shall dismantle the chamber you have used, and remove all signs of its having been inhabited." Chebron thanked the embalmer very earnestly for the kindness he had shown them, the trouble he had taken, and the risk he had run on their behalf. "I would have done more if I could," Chigron said. "Your father's son has the highest claims upon me, and were it to half my fortune I would spend it to carry out the last wishes that Ameres expressed to me." As soon as the embalmer left them the three friends sat down just within the entrance to the tomb, looking out over the quiet city lying in the plain below them. "I wish we had our peasant dresses," Chebron said, "that we might go down with you and join in the search for Mysa." "It would be too dangerous," Jethro said decidedly. "Too many have seen you taking part in the services and procession for you to have a chance of passing unnoticed. Amuba is less likely than you to be detected, and if his skin was stained, his eyebrows blackened, and his head shaved, he might manage to pass providing he walked with his eyes fixed on the ground. But in that way he would not have much of a chance of coming upon traces of Mysa. Any search you make must be at night. I shall today station myself near the house of Ptylus. I do not expect to gain any information from gazing at the high wall which surrounds it, but I will follow, as closely as I can without attracting observation, all the slaves or servants who may come out, especially if two issue forth together. I may then catch a few words of their talk, and possibly gather some clue to the mystery. Still I own that the chance is small, and you must not look forward in any way to my returning with news." "I wish, Jethro," Chebron said, "that if possible you would again go to our house, see the old woman, and get her to bring out to you a suit of my priest's garments. With these I could at night enter the temple, and wander unquestioned through the chambers and courts. The nights are dark now, and unless I passed close to a lamp none could recognize me. We overheard one conversation of importance there, and it may be that I could overhear another." "There would be danger in the attempt," Jethro said doubtfully. "That matters not at all," Chebron exclaimed impetuously. "All this trouble has come upon us through me, and even should there be some slight risk I would willing face it; but in truth I think there is no chance whatever of my being recognized. See how often Amuba went there with me, and though the nights were always moonlit we never were once addressed, nor was it noticed that Amuba was not one of the regular attendants of the temple, who alone have a right to penetrate beyond the great courts." "So be it, then," Jethro said. "Then you shall explore the temple, Amuba and I will search every cavern in the hills. There are many great tombs behind the temple, and just as we have selected such a hiding place, Ptylus may have chosen one as a place of concealment for Mysa. There are many tombs there built by princes, nobles, and wealthy priests for their reception after death which could be turned into a comfortable dwelling. After we have spent some time in searching there, we must, if unsuccessful, try further away. Ptylus, no doubt, like Ameres, has farms and country residences, and she may be hidden in one of these." "I believe myself," Amuba said, "that a better plan than yours will be for us to establish a watch over Plexo. Ptylus has his duties and is no doubt fully occupied in securing his election to the high priesthood, but Plexo would most probably go sometimes to see Mysa in her place of imprisonment. He will naturally be anxious to conciliate or frighten her into giving her consent to marry him as soon as possible. Therefore, if we can but watch him sufficiently closely, he is sure to lead us at last to her." "That will certainly be the best way, Amuba. I did not think of it before, but it is clearly the plan that promises the best chance of success. We might search the country for years without finding her, and although I wish to keep up your hopes, I really despaired in my own mind. But, as you say, if we follow Plexo, sooner or later he is sure to bring us to her. But to do so we shall want many disguises. I will think the matter over as I walk today, and when I see Chigron this evening will beg him to get the disguises that seem to him the best for us to use." "As for me, Jethro," Chebron said, "I will visit the temple of an evening as I said. But long before midnight all will be quiet there, so that will give me plenty of time for sleep, and in the daytime I will work with you. Get me the garb of a peasant woman. In such a dress and with a female head covering I could surely get myself up so that even those who know me best would pass by without suspicion. Many women are taller than I am. The disguise would be out of the question for Amuba, who is well nigh as tall as you are, besides being wide and strong looking, but for me it would do well." "Yes, I think you could pass as a woman," Jethro agreed, "and